What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. This is going to be a late night review of Legends of Tomorrow, Season 1, Episode 12, Last Refuge. This is a good episode, good action, good intensity. That's about it. See you at the next review. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, though, this was a good episode. Some people might think, well, it's a bit convenient. There are some convenient moments, but if you really think about the plot of this episode, you've got a bounty hunter who's going to go back in time and try to kill previous versions of our main characters. Yeah, you have to have some conveniencies. You can't just have her go and have it be realistic, because in reality she would just go and kill all of them instantly. It would be over so quickly because she can do it whenever she wants to. She can. Anyway, but the most convenient moment, I think, of this entire episode is whenever they lose track of her because she hides her time something. I can't remember what they called it. It was something, though, that her ship would mess with the time stream, and Gideon could track that. She managed to hide it at one point, and then she goes to Palmer Tech in 2014 when Palmer's, 2 years ago, so he's still a man, and starts to beat the crap out of him and not just kill him quickly. So that way, as Palmer is, he's experiencing these bruises on his body, which is pretty cool to see, but it is a bit convenient because she decides to beat him for a few minutes to let the team have time to go and travel back in time and then stop her. The thing that I do have to wonder about, though, is that you think about having a time machine. If she travels back to this time and then shoots whoever, could they travel back to before she shot him and then stop? There's a lot of questions that this brings up, but overall, it's still a good episode. It's still one that was exciting. Kind of ends on a darker note, but I'll get there. For now, I want to talk about some of the subplots, because just like in any of these Arrowverse shows, Arrow, The Flash, now Legends of Tomorrow, you have to have subplots. Even in the ones that are mainly story-based, which this show has been mainly story-based, they still had subplots thrown in there. The two main ones that I can think of, well, no, okay, there are three. One that's kind of there, but not really a big deal, is McRory. He's kind of dealing with his younger self, and seeing his young self is kind of making him realize, wait, this isn't a good thing, because now he's actually a bit more mature. It's weird to think about. He was a grown man, now he's still a grown man, but now he's more mature somehow. But becoming Cronus has really changed him. He used to just be about burning down the world, and that's all he cared about. Now he actually has a bit more of a purpose, and a bit more smarts, too. He thinks for himself a bit more now. So talking to his younger self sort of shows us the contrast between who he used to be and who he is now. And that was interesting to see. Other subplot to talk about is Jax and his father. They go back to get Jax before, when he's a baby. Apparently his dad left in the army. And so Stein sees that his father is there, looking at him, and gives Jax a chance to talk to his father. I thought it was just going to be one of these moments that it was there, and it kind of affected him, and then it's done. But then, this, what's-her-face, Pilgrim, takes his father, and so he actually gets to have another moment with him. He gets to have another moment to talk to him and actually tell him, I'm your son from the future, before they give him the amnesia pill. Maybe, I don't know. We saw Quentin Lance taking the amnesia pill, but didn't see anybody else taking it, so I don't know if everybody did or not. Either way, but the one thing he sort of leaves his father with is, whenever you're over there, turn your head to the right or something looking for an IED. So I guess he knew how his father got killed and tries to warn him. And Rip Hunter says something interesting. He says, well, the time stream doesn't like to be changed. It doesn't like to be affected. But maybe it wants you to be with your father or something like that. So it is kind of interesting to think, what if he could change it? What if time is not set as much as they think it is? Because that's one of the important things at the end of this episode, is that time is starting to set itself. But what if it's not as set as Rip tends to think? What if there is a bit more malleability in the time stream? What if they are able to change it a bit easier than they originally thought? That's something that I hope they touch on a bit more. But that was a good story. Played out a little bit like I thought it would. He wants to tell his dad, hey, watch out, you're going to get killed by such and such, but decides not to. And then later decides, you know what, I'm going to tell him anyway. And then the final one that is starting to get on my nerves just a little bit is the Kendra and Ray stuff. I thought this was done. I thought it was over. I thought Kendra and Ray had solved the problems, decided they were just going to work it out, and now it's back to they're trying to decide again. Ray almost dies again, and then there's another moment where she's like, I need you, and you're not going to die, and blah, 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 blah. And then he pulls out the ring and says, will you marry me? She's just like, and then later they talk about it. She's like, I don't know, my older self told me that every other relationship doesn't work out, and he's just like, we'll figure it out. And then later she's like, okay, I figured it out, I want to do it. And then they're like, okay, yay. Here's my frustration with it. We already had this conversation. Not in these words exactly, but we already had this conversation of she's fated to be with Carter. She decided she wasn't going to listen to fate. Then she has a conversation with one of her past lives, a bit older, saying that things didn't work out. And all of a sudden she's questioning it again. Be a bit smarter than that, please. I mean, this show has done so well so far to not be stupid, but this is just, you're forcing this conversation to happen again by throwing in one of Kendra's past lives. You throw her into the mix. Now Kendra's asking the same questions that we thought she'd already answered. Now she's asking them again because she's unsure again. I don't want to see any more about this, okay? Just, they're together now. Let them be happy. They're not actually over there. I don't know why I looked over there. But yeah, just let them be happy together. Don't bring it up again. Please. I don't want to hear this conversation about fate again. Maybe if Carter comes back, maybe then we can have a little conversation about it or something. Carter can figure out his opinions on it. But enough of this from Kendra. It's done. She decided, okay, let's do this. That should be that. Unfortunately, though, DC shows really like to just prolong stuff. I don't get it. But anyway, on to the main plot. So they finally decide to, after stopping the Pilgrim in certain areas, stopping her from killing McRory as a kid, stopping her from killing Sarah as a teen, stopping her from killing Ray Palmer 2 years ago. They finally decide, you know what, let's go back in time and get our kid selves. And I'm trying to... They only got the babies of themselves that they hadn't already got. So they already had Sarah, they already had McRory, and they already had Ray Palmer. No. Yes. No. I think they put Ray Palmer in the hospital or something. I don't think they took him with. At least I think. I wasn't really paying attention that well. Sorry. But anyway, so they have the kid versions of most of them. And then they have, for Snart and Stein and Jackson, they have their baby selves. And they're all being held at this home. We get to have a bit more backstory on Rip Hunter, which is nice. But apparently this is his home, where this is his adoptive mother. This is where the Time Masters send the kids that are going to be Time Masters one day or something. along those lines. It was a bit confusing the way they explained it, but what ends up happening is very good. The Pilgrim takes loved ones of all of our main characters, and Rip Hunter offers himself as a kid to the Pilgrim. So she can now kill Rip Hunter as a kid and stop this expedition from ever happening. Just reset this whole thing. Of course, in my mind, I'm thinking, wouldn't this cause such a huge rift in the timeline that surely something must be destroyed? Like some wormhole opens up and just devours the world in 2016 because of how messed up this would make everything. But she doesn't think that way. She's just like, okay, fine. So we see a kid that we saw at the. I kind of figured the way they kind of zoomed in on that one kid. I'm like, that's gonna be Rip Hunter, right? It is. But what I really like is that they all attack, and then she's got them all frozen in time, and she's kind of monologuing like she's got the upper hand, and she kind of does. And then all of a sudden you hear a. All of a sudden she looks down. There's little Rip Hunter stabbing her in the stomach and then stabbing her again. This causes her to stop the time, whatever she was doing, like the time stop she had on everybody, and then they just burn her to a crisp. And I'm just like, holy crap. I love the line from Rip Hunter after this, because he pretty much says, I forget what he called himself, like a purse snatcher, a cut purse. I can't remember what he called. Anyway, he pretty much grew up on the streets, so like he had nothing. He said, I knew that I would attack her if she tried to hurt me. That's just, it was ingenious the way he set that up, and to know so much about himself as a kid. Obviously, that sounds weird saying it, but to know that as a kid he would have the courage to step up and do that. It was genius. It was so brilliantly played out, and they did it so well. It was great. Great final ending for the Pilgrim as well. However, what this does mean for our main heroes is that because all of their younger selves, excluding Ray Palmer because I think he's in the hospital, and excluding Kendra because, like I said in the show, even if the Pilgrim does kill her in a past life, she just reincarnates. So, excluding those two, everybody else is in this home. And so that's kind of good, but at the same time brings up the fact that now they're all removed from the timeline until they can put them back into the timeline. Until they put their babies back where they're supposed to go, they're removed from the timeline. In fact, they have a scene where Martin is talking to, I'm sure it was Clarissa, because her, face was turned away from the camera. It was something I noticed because I don't know why. He's talking to this woman who has Clarissa's hair. I'm just like, oh, she's not looking at the camera. Probably save some money, right? So you don't have to pay the actress. Anyway. Sorry. But this is evidenced by the fact that Martin is talking to Clarissa and she doesn't know who he is. So the timeline is starting to set in such a way that they aren't a part of it. That's dangerous to think about. And you think, okay, we'll just go and put them back into the timeline. Just like Rip Hunter says, though, and like I said earlier, this may not be real. This may actually be something that Rip Hunter thinks. That the timeline, it sets itself, and that's it. Maybe it's not as set as he thinks, but if it is, that means that even if you do put the babies back in after time has set itself, it would find a way to correct for that again by possibly having them die somehow. I don't know, just so many questions it raises. It does such a good job of just really getting the intensity up. Just getting my emotions and my what's going to happen next factor up. I don't know what's going to happen. They're traveling to a moment, and I kind of sort of figured this is where they were going just because it seemed too easy for them to just go back in time to like the first time Vandal Savage got hit by the meteorite and got his powers. It made too much sense. It just seemed too easy to go that far back and just kill him there. Kill him before any of this happened. That would just be too easy. So of course, now they're having to go to the one place where Vandal Savage is at its height. This is when he takes over the world. They're gonna have to stop that. I'm excited to see what they're gonna do with this. It's gonna be very intense. I believe that whatever they've got planned, it's gonna be good. But yeah, just really, really well set up, and I'm excited to see where it's going next. But yeah, I think that's about it for this episode. Just a lot of good stuff again. So anyway, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Leave a like and subscribe for more of Legends of Tomorrow, and I'll see you at the next review. Peace out.